And we are bringing you breaking news just into the KVUE newsroom. After representing the Austin area for 30 years, Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett announced he may not seek re-election if the new congressional map passed at the state capitol is allowed to take effect.
Yeah, and joining us now is KVUE senior reporter Tony Plohetsky with more on this. And this is a very significant announcement that we're seeing.
It is potentially seismic in the political arena here in Austin and in Central Texas. Lloyd Doggett has been synonymous with the Democratic Party for 3 decades here in Travis County and in Austin as a congressman. There have been calls in recent days for him, should these maps go forward, to step aside and let a newer generation, that newer generation is Congressman Greg Casar, a former Austin City Council member, to turn the reins over to him. There was the potential for a race that could have pitted the two of them together. And there have been calls, there was an editorial that was published, for example, in the Austin Chronicle, urging Doggett to step aside, to not run against Greg Casar. And so that has been the conversation that has been unfolding over the past several days, really reaching a peak in the past 24 hours or so. Again, whether or not there could potentially be what would likely be a very contentious race and a very divisive race within the local Democratic Party should the two of them end up facing off and facing one another. But again, apparently that is not going to happen now because Congressman Doggett is saying if the courts uphold these maps, and that's an open question at this point, these newly drawn maps, if the courts uphold them, he is not going to seek re-election. He is not going to run against Greg Casar.
But as things stand right now, these maps are not challenged yet in a formal setting.
That's right.
So he is keeping the status quo at the moment.
At the moment. And of course, as we've been saying for days, these maps almost certainly will face court challenges. We know that to be true. The Democrats have said one of the reasons they came back from their quorum busting effort was to, in fact, help build a case to take to court. But again, the fact that he is on the record in a statement just minutes ago, literally minutes ago, making this announcement will put to rest whether or not there could be a potential battle between Greg Casar and Lloyd Doggett.
So do we have any idea of when the courts could take it up and when a decision could come?
Not exactly. I mean, to Mark's point, there's been no claim, no petition that has even been filed yet. That is something that would likely unfold in the months and weeks to come. But keep in mind, part of the urgency here is that there's a deadline for people to file to seek election or to seek re-election, with the primary early in 2026. So time is of the essence. We've seen elections be delayed over litigation concerning maps like this. But in terms of the timing of all of this and when this could happen, that is a big question mark and a great unknown right now. But again, the major news, particularly political news, is that Congressman Doggett is saying if this lands and the maps hold, he will not run, he will not seek re-election.
This is certainly a huge surprise. Has there been any indication prior to this that this was a possibility, Tony?
I think the indication was the opposite, almost, because what we understand Doggett had been telling some of his key donors and key supporters is that, oh no, he is going to run, and that this would in fact be a potentially contentious race between he and Casar. But again, over the past several days and really the past few hours, there has been increasing demands for that not to happen. And so again, we get this statement just within the last few minutes.
There's a lot to consider from the Congressman Doggett camp here about reaching this kind of decision there. What do you think that he has to consider to say, I'm going to step aside and let Greg Casar either carry on or throw my support or collaborate?
Right. I think that what we know in the past 48, 72 hours, as this has sort of reached a pitch, people have been whispering in Lloyd Doggett's ear, you should not do this. And famously, it was one of the things that put a spotlight on Lloyd Doggett on this very issue, and that is during President Biden's run for re-election, he publicly called on him to step aside. And so those own words now, that point that he made about the next generation coming to fruition, taking over, those words have now essentially been used against him in this very matter.
What good context. I forgot about that moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Tony.
With our breaking news, Congressman Doggett may step down,
That's right,
depending on what happens with the maps.
Right.